I let my fear stand in the way of what might have been a wonderful opportunity. And I'm not going to go into the full details of what happened because that's not just my story. There's another person that's involved. But it is around like relationship dynamics. But I wanted to share this as an opportunity to see what it looks like to be continuing to do the work, to be continuing on your healing journey, right? To be continually discovering those parts of you, like those shadow aspects and that patterning that still operates unconsciously, right? And so I wanted to share because I think it's a good opportunity for that. And, like it sucks, but I did it, right? I am the one who responded that way. I am the one who like froze in fear, which I've recently come to realize that freezing is my like default response to fear. And if you don't know what your default response to fear is, take a moment and think back to the earliest time that you remember, like the very first time you remember being afraid and how you were taught to handle that, right? Because that's what, unless you've done digging around like fear and have very consciously been working on fear in your response, then that's probably the default response and you don't necessarily realize it. So like the first thing, it's kind of like, so what do we do now, right? And the first thing with it is really just understanding and owning the fact that like, hey, like I take responsibility for this, right? Like this was my stuff that I let get in the way. And also like when you realize that, hey, this is my stuff that I let get in the way, there's now another choice that happens. And what happens there is you essentially have the opportunity to either start berating and judging yourself and talking down to yourself, or you can look at the lesson and look for what it is that like look for the golden nuggets of the situation in and of itself and like your understanding of it, right? So it would have been very easy for me to like berate myself about this. And instead I was just really kind of in awe. And part of why I was in awe was, like I saw the pattern. Unfortunately, I didn't see it as it was unfolding. But I did see it, which is progress, right? And the more you progress and the better you get at catching it, like eventually you start to catch it in the moment and then eventually you don't actually do the thing at all, right? Because you catch it more when it's still like a thought form and not a full action, until eventually that's not your trained response anymore. So instead of berating myself, like looked at the silver lining. And so I actually like admitted to this person that I was scared, which if you don't know me very well, like that is something that has always been difficult for me to do. Especially like I was that person that like grew up as like the strong one and like the rock for like everybody. So there was a lot of like story and conditioning around not being able to be vulnerable or to be scared or need support or any of those things. So like admitting that I'm scared is not something that comes easily to me. So first I was just really proud of myself that I even admitted that, right? And I admitted that in the moment. And then the next thing was that I did recognize the fear pattern. Like I said, I recognized it after the interaction, but I recognized the fear pattern. And I also, like, once I recognized the fear pattern, then looking at the situation and kind of going through and looking at things to be like, okay, like what else happened here? Like, I got to see an interesting way that that some worthiness wounding showed up, right? So I've been very aware of like the worthiness wounding in terms of achievement, and that being like a driving factor of, in the past I was a perfectionist, and also like if there was a certificate for doing something, like I probably earned it. But a lot of what was driving that was the like, I'm not good enough unless I'm validated for it, right? So I'd worked on that and everything. So it was really interesting to see it show up in a relationship aspect, and to show up in a different way in a relationship aspect. So, I'm now like, we're past the, okay, we accept subpar behavior and effort from people. But like what came up was kind of the good enough in terms of, this person is someone that I very much like love and admire, and I think they're great. And part of what came up was like, what if I'm not good enough? What if I disappoint them? Type of thing, right? So to see how that worthiness wound made an appearance in a different way was eye-opening and interesting. And so with all that, now we come to like, okay, like, well, what now, right? Like the interaction has happened. The opportunity is closed for now. I don't know that it'll reopen. It may stay closed forever. I have no idea. And that's okay, right? That's okay. Right now, it's just being grateful for the lesson, right? Being grateful for the insights, and now being able to accept the invitation to look deeper, right? Because I get to now take a look at a couple things, which is one, where else am I letting fear dictate my response, right? Like, where am I letting that be a hindrance? And part of what that's going to look like is basically like looking through any areas that I may feel stuck in, right? Because I may not actually be stuck. I may be frozen, and freeze again is my like default response to fear, right? So taking a look at that, like what areas of my life do I feel like I'm stuck in? And is it possible that maybe I am just frozen because there's some fear going on that I need to like make peace with and like bring along with me and move forward, right? Like, I won't say banish it necessarily, because sometimes that can be counterproductive and you waste more energy like trying to fight it than if you're just like, great, I see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for trying to keep me safe. I'm going to do this shit any fucking way. And then another invitation from the situation, right, is I get to look at the new way that worthiness wounding appeared, right? And I get to kind of dig into that a little bit and do work around that. So that's what I wanted to share. And hopefully this helps you see kind of what it still looks like to be doing the work. If you're on a healing journey, you're always going to be given new opportunities to heal different things, to heal at different levels, and being willing to accept that, to see that, and being able to catch that, to start working on it, should you decide to work on it, right? Because some things maybe you don't want to work on. But that's what I wanted to share, and just give you a little preview to hopefully help and realize that, like, hey, just the fact that you recognize this pattern come up is a step in the right direction. And like, don't judge yourself about that patterning if you do see it come up, whatever that pattern is for you. But instead, like, lean in and be curious and see, what else is happening in this pattern, and where might this pattern or program be running in your life? What other places might that be going on? And then just see like where do you get to work on that? Like where do you get to play with that? Where do you get to start to address and reformat or reprogram that if it is a program that you don't actually want to continue running? All right, take care. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.